Hey guys, Tamika here. I am super excited to be a guest on the upcoming podcast, No More Excuses, Wake Up, hosted by Stenell Myers, the money therapist. So join us as we are going to be talking about motherhood, overcoming adversity, and leaning into your God-given gifts, talents, and abilities to create the life that you want so that you can live in your purpose and in your passion. So just join us as we talk about different strategies and life experiences that have led us to becoming the woman that we are today. So I hope you'll join us. Thanks. Bye, guys.
So let me ask you, when you got pregnant, how did she react to your pregnancy?
I think she was disappointed, but not surprised. I think a lot of people were not surprised in terms of I was probably labeled fast. Um, you know how they are in the hood,
Girl,
she fast. I wasn't fast. I had been violated by so many people growing up that I appeared to be fast because I had been sexually abused, for a long part of my life. So what was perceived as me being fast was that girl interrupted, by the people who were supposed to take care of me.
That's right.
Everyone in the neighborhood was calling me fast, but I didn't choose that fast route. Someone else chose that fast route. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yes, that is so powerful.
So I think my mom was disappointed. I think that she might have been a little bit embarrassed as well. And then we also come from a time where it was like, I mean, I didn't consider having an abortion, but they was just like, well, we don't do abortions. You know how
Girl.
we don't do abortion. So I was just like, well, I guess I'm having a baby. Damn.
Yep. Girl, why that sound like my mom? So
I guess
yeah,
I'm having a baby.
You were 14 and I got pregnant at 18. So that's why you said years later, people started.
I'm telling you, it was like a few years later. Everybody was joining me. Yeah. But during that time, and it was deep because, there was so much shame associated with it. So nobody told me as a 14-year-old what was going to happen to my body being pregnant. Like I remember being in school. You see, I got my big boobies. I still have them.
Yes, girl.
I remember being in school in the 7th grade and my breasts leaking. Like I kept saying, why is my shirt wet?
Wow.
I didn't even know anything about what was
This is so real.
No one told me anything. You know what I mean? When I went to the doctor's appointments, the nurses were very cold to me because I was a teenager. You know what I mean? So nobody told me anything. I didn't know what to expect when I went into labor.
Is this before
3 days and 12 and a half hours? I thought I was going to die.
So is this before Planned Parenthood?
No, Planned Parenthood was around, but it wasn't as prominent. Let me just say that. It wasn't as prominent. It wasn't as prominent. As I got older, I learned about, all those services and things like that. But at that time in 1986, and you think in 1986, a lot of things just was not as open as they are now and available and accessible. You know what I mean? Now. So even going through labor, I had both my children natural, but going through a natural childbirth at 14, that broke me. Like, I was just like, and they didn't offer me no like nothing. It was just,
my gosh.
When that stuff was over, hence my son barely made it here by the skin of his chinny chin chin, because I ain't never want to have no more kids after that experience. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. So,
wow.
But needless to say, my little mini me, she rolled out with me, you know what I mean? And I made it through middle school. Slowly but surely, I made it through high school. I didn't go away to college because I couldn't. I wasn't leaving her home with my crazy mama and my crazy family by her. I was going to stay and protect her. So I went to community college, slowly but surely. Everything was one obedient step at a time.
That's right.
And I actually graduated from community college. Oh, wow. Actually graduated because for me, I'm a result-oriented person, so I like to start and finish stuff. So I was my associate's degree, I was proud,
you're right. I never heard of that.
I bet you don't know not one person.
I do not. Right now. You. I've never heard, because I went to community.
It on my wall.
Really, I went to community college, and you just transfer your credits.
No, girl, I wanted my paper, I did something to say I finished. So I did that.
Okay.
I did transfer into Rowan University, and where I graduated and got my bachelor's. I graduated with a bachelor's in sociology and I minored in psychology. And I would catch the bus. Let me tell you something. I lived on Montgomery Avenue. I would catch the 400 bus.
I remember that bus.
Listen,
yes.
I put the bus to get to school back and forth every day. You know what I mean? Making sure I scheduled my classes so that I could get the class, but get Buffy to daycare, and you know what I mean? But I did it. It was just like, I'm unstoppable. Like I will not fail. Period.
So when you graduated high school,
an option for me.
So when you graduated high school and you went to college, what did you go to Camden County College?
I went to Camden County College right downtown.
Okay, that's where I went. Okay, girl, ain't no shade in that.
Then I got fancy and I started to catch the bus to the one in Blackwood. That's where I met my current husband, Mr. Michael Chester.
So how old was Muffy when you started college?
Maybe about 4 or 5.
Wow.
She was about 4 or 5. She would catch the bus with me sometime. And I never remember, me and Michael always laugh about this because I met him at Camden County College, and it was like the group of Black people, they used to sit in the community room.
Yes, girl. The community.
They used to be playing
I remember the community. Yes.
Right? They used to be playing spades. And I remember he used to, be like, what's up? And it was right after Rodney King happened, performing this rally. And he came up to me and said, yo sis, what's up? You coming to the rally? No justice, no peace. I said, hell no, I'm going to class.
So he always been like that?
Girl, always.
Oh my God.
College. And I always be teasing him. I was like, y'all was playing around going to rallies and stuff. I was going to class because I was about graduating. So I went on to Rowan, and I graduated from there. And then I started my career. I was introduced to a woman named Sharon Shields at Camden School-Based Youth Services. And she offered me an internship. For my last year, I had to do an internship. And I did it at Lanning Square Elementary School, where I developed the homework and tutoring program for after-school programs. And she was impressed with my work. And when I graduated, of course, I passed the class, and she offered me a job. And then something went, the job fell through. And I ended up doing AmeriCorps. So my first year out of college, I was living in low-income housing in the projects. I took a job as an AmeriCorps volunteer, where I worked pretty much full-time back at Morgan Village Middle School. I went back at Morgan Village Middle School.
Wow. And
I felt like a boss when I rolled back up in there.
I know you did.
Working AmeriCorps, you still couldn't tell me nothing because I had a whole office, a whole budget and everything. But my first year out of college, I did AmeriCorps, and I always talk about them 1,750 hours of volunteer work that I basically did. We got a stipend of $315 twice a month. That's it.
Wow.
But for me, that I would have rather did that than to continue to be on welfare. So it was just like, but still give me my food stamps and still give me my low income housing, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this. You know what I mean? Instead of getting that $300 and some a month, at least I'm getting $315 twice a month, right?
That's right.
Talk about financial freedom fighters. I always been about that budget life because I didn't have any choice. You know, and by the time I got there, I had 2 kids. You know what I mean? I'm living in the project. I moved out of my mom's house when I was 19 years old, took my little sister with me. And we was living in the projects, and I had to learn how to budget. I had to learn how to hustle. I had to learn how to figure things out. There was no contingency plan.
That's right.
There was nowhere to fall back. There was no one to go back home to. That was just never an option for me.
You know what, Tamika, when I listen to you, I always like to prepare myself in how the conversation is going to go when I have a guest on the show. And I was just thinking, as I was speaking to my daughters, we grew up in Camden. We grew up in the hood. And when you say 1986, I was born in the 70s, and you mentioned thank God you wasn't on crack. That was when crack was like, and when you said that, I was like, hold up, because I was just looking at a documentary. That's when crack, and I remember the 80s, and crack was real,
Crack was really real.
We walked to school. I had to walk 10 blocks as a child. our kids, they can't even experience that, because when I was taking my daughter to school today, I said, I can't believe I'm up like this early driving a 15-year-old to school when I walked when I was 6.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's real. Everything that you went through is, wow, it's completely different than what our children, or what my child or my children have experienced, because we were literally doing a lot for ourselves, and now we always thinking about our children before ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. You know, it was really difficult for me to walk that line of how do I nurture my children in the way that they need to be nurtured, but also I had to unlearn a lot of unhealthy habits that resulted as my childhood. So one was that whole self-sufficiency. You know, I don't know that it's necessarily healthy and productive for 6-year-olds to be walking to school by themselves, in their own food, and washing their own clothes. And I don't know that, looking back on it,
No, it wasn't, but we did it.
But we did it. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to find that balance with my children was really difficult for me. Like, my daughter will tell you, my mom was so hard on me. And by the time Asante came, I was like, go on with your dad, because I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like, go to your daddy. But me and Muffy, we were like this. We had an unbreakable pact and an understanding. You know, people refer to us as the Tamikas, but the Tamikas were going to defy every stereotype.
Wow.